allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Almighty God, we thank you for the day. Pray, Lord, that you would grant us the wisdom to know the right thing to do. Give us the strength and the will to do it. Bless our time tonight. In Christ's name. Amen.
Before I call the meeting to order, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Bill Roth. He's been with us before for about 6 weeks. So, you want to say something?
Welcome. Hello, everybody that I don't know out there. I see a lot of familiar faces. I was here back in November, December of 2012, in between Ryan and Paul. And yes, I did okay. I didn't do something too bad because they invited me back again to fill in until the next new guy comes along. So, thank you for having me back. And if I can do anything to help you while I'm here, don't hesitate to give me a call. I have been doing this for 30 years, so I'm somewhat familiar with local government.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Okay, first on the agenda is public hearing. A, amendment to the Town Code Chapter 6, Finance and Taxation, to match with the fiscal 14-15. Do we have any questions? Does anyone like to speak? Have anything to say about the first amendment? Yes.
When we were talking about how we were going to bill the water, and there was a question about the initial fee that would be the hookup fee, and some people said it was kind of steep. Has anything else been discussed about that? Some people had, at the meeting when we had discussed about the hookup fees and how expensive the utility bills are going to be, some people had questioned that was there a way that they could avoid such a hard punch, one-two punch from having fees and the hookups at the same time. If it couldn't be spread out over a period of time, or if there were some other arrangements that could be made to make it more affordable for people.
Jeff?
We had a meeting last week. We discussed some of those issues. That is in discussion. There hasn't been anything assessed yet for that. When the new meters go in place for somebody, we haven't discussed yet what that fee will be for hookup or anything like that. Or we discussed maybe financing it out for somebody for X amount of months or something like that. But the topic is on the table.
Oh, thank you, Jeff.
Someone else have something to say about Amendment A? Okay, I'll close the public hearing on A. Now we'll go to B. The amendment for the Town Code Chapter Administrative Section 27.
$270 changed that much. Is there an option to change anything else, or does it have to go back through this process since we're at this
mean, at this stage, we've already put the notice in public hearing in the paper, all that. If it's going to be changed differently from what we have, I think we may have to move it around.
So you have to go back through the process.
Mayor, can you review that? Some a little out of sync.
Okay, it says an officer of the town appointed by the mayor and council shall be a resident of the county or some city lying wholly therein, except as otherwise provided by this code. An employee of the town appointed by the mayor and council shall be a resident of the town. It says 1952 code. That's all it says.
So does that mean that the employees of the town will have to be a resident? Is that what you're saying?
It's going to be
changed
to the county.
Change the
To the county.
To the county.
County.
But that's not, this the old one?
That's the old one.
This has to be the old one.
The amendment is to allow employees to be residents of the county.
So read that whole amendment, because that's not what we're looking at here.
Okay. The amendment states that any officer of the town appointed by the mayor and council should be a resident of the county or some city lying wholly therein, except as otherwise provided by this code. And then further goes on to say, any employee of the town appointed by the mayor and council shall be a resident of the county.
Is that actually appointed or hired? I mean, you know, it's like appointments, or is that, or can that be, I'm just think it's kind of vague. If we're talking about, say, I'm sure it's right now toward the town manager's position, correct?
But
Am I
they're not
correct?
appointed, they're hired.
Right, and to me, is this what the, you know, the chapter 2 you're talking about as far as in that administrative? Is it, or is this person to the town manager?
Is the question whether appointed includes hired?
Right,
Yeah.
to
It's a
me,
bad
it sounds
question.
like, you know, I could be appointed to something by the town, say for example, but as long as, you know, appointed, I'd have to live within the county.
Well,
I think,
the language that we have tracks the enabling act that's in the state code. And we can only do, the town can only do what the state enables the town to do, and we're tracking that language. If you use the word employee in front of that, I think, you know, appointed and hired in this context likely means the same things, but I see what you're saying. I think you could argue semantics there.
of course, if you read the sections like 2.2, 2.5, it all talks about appointed. Everything's appointed in here. It's not hired, it's not, they use appointed all the way through this code section, which refers to hiring or appointing employees or whoever works for the town.
Correct.
That's how it's related in this whole.
But it's not in-
Somewhere-
It might be kind of clear and not exactly understandable if you read it, but that's how this whole code section reads.
That's right.
The whole article is entitled Town Officers and Employees. And nowhere does it talk about appointments to commissions or boards or anything like that. It's all about basically employees.
Okay.
Well, I have a slight problem with that. The town manager is more than just an employee. He's a person that makes decisions for the town employees, for the citizens, plays an integral part in the activities of the town, the business of the town, and is also a second to the mayor in emergency situations, according to the code. Having a town manager that lives outside of town is kind of counterproductive to how he does his job. And I can understand that you are following state laws. I don't know if you can specify that a town manager shall be a resident and the rest of the employees can be county residents. Because the employees we have are great employees. And it doesn't bother me at all that they do not live in town. It would bother me if we had a town manager that lived outside of town. For, you know, not when he begins. I can understand he would need some time to move, make arrangements. But I think the town manager plays such an important role in Glasgow that he should be a resident. And that's just the way I feel. It's my opinion.
Does anyone else have something to say?
I have one other statement I would like to make. I know that going back in this particular situation, that there's going to be other means or qualification changes that's going to have to be made instead of, I don't know if you're jumping too prematurely doing this, and I'm sure, you know, you've already, you know, it's already been out there and this is public comment. You know, what type of degree is he going to have? Is he going to be selected on his, you know, his experience? You know, to me, this is kind of broad. I think that now's the time to iron this out before we get a new town manager. Because once that town manager comes and he's vague, well, he may have, you know, no college. He may have experience. You all might feel, and I think that the town should have some, I personally think he should have some background in education and also, you know, the possibility of experience and/or experience. I just think that just saying that you're changing it just whether residential, just being a resident, whether county or town, I just think there's other requirements of the town, you know, manager that should be addressed before waiting till you get one, and then it's too late. It's not, you know, it's not documented or approved prior to him coming here.
Another point would be is there's another segment 2-17, which also has to deal with the town manager, saying that from time to time the town manager may or may not be a resident of the town. And if whichever way you decide, that's either a redundant statement section or it's a conflicting statement. And it, in any case, probably should either be a further requirement of the town manager, or it should be deleted totally. Whichever way you want to go. Because that's a big, I think what started a big flat back in January was the conflict between 2-7 and 2-17.
Is Buena Vista part of Rockbridge County, or is it,
Yes, it is.
oh, it's just, it's a separate, that's what I thought.
I mean, 217 basically says everything that 27 says, except it's expanded a little further, a little deeper in actual qualifications and duties.
Within
And that's,
And I'm not sure why it's
so somebody was
in two different places.
I think
Unless that one pertains to the town manager exclusively, and the other ones pertain to employees, would be the only, because it's under heading of town manager.
you know, this
Well,
is,
that necessarily wouldn't be true for employees, so I think that's why it's in two places.
this is not amending 217.
Right.
This is only amending the language in 27.
Right, but he's saying what 217 says is redundancy to 27. But I think what's different about it, 27 applies to employees appointed, which could be regular employees. This one specifically expands it a little further for town manager, saying basically the same thing.
Well, I mean, if you look at the top of 27, except as otherwise provided by this code. And then 217 is an exception to 27.
And I think one of the other things you may have to address also now is job description. You know, we had this issue with who, is he going to be over the maintenance people? You know, that needs to be ironed out. I just think that it's kind of a jump in, a fast jump in without really sitting down and going over. I don't know if council and has met to really iron out all of this before, you know, the applications are coming in, and I'm just wondering if you all have approached all of the problems that's been in the past so that they won't become problems.
And I think to answer, or attempt to answer the question, this more clearly tried to clear up exactly where somebody had to live versus being in the town exclusively, which we haven't been going by. The part about job qualifications and what's job descriptions of employees and the town manager, I don't think you put that into ordinance code, because that's kind of a council to council change of what they want to do. And yes, we are looking at all these job descriptions, and we're reevaluating that whole description of what's going on for that position. And also just recently hired Springsteen to do complete upgrade of personnel manual policies, which will bring all that stuff hopefully in line. So it's kind of like this is more clearly just for residents.
So we won't have to have another, hearing as such, I guess.
You don't have to pass an ordinance or amend the code.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
If Buena Vista is an independent city, does this cover Jane being able to work here?
Yeah, because it says,
So
in a
it's
city
city
lying
line.
wholly therein. And that covers
Okay,
that.
so you've covered Rockbridge County, Buena Vista,
Right.
and those people can work in Glasgow.
Yeah. This is a resident of the county or a city lying wholly therein.
I can tell you, I disagree with it wholeheartedly in every aspect of it, but that's just my opinion, and I'll give it. I don't believe that they need to. I believe that you need to pick the best candidate for the position, no matter where they live. If their integrity and their work ethic is suitable to the task, then it doesn't matter where they live.
And I think that's the assumption that was made with the previous town manager, and it's kind of bitten us in the.
Not necessarily, but anyway. Well, and currently you have an acting town manager who doesn't live here either, so, I mean, does that, you know, just my opinion, we've all got it.
Any more questions?
I got one that's a little bit off topic. I noticed that in the recent agendas, we've not been having public comments. And that's fine with me. I think public comments, individual public comments, take up a lot of time, waste a lot of time for town business. But in leaving out public comments, you're not really giving any direction on how citizens should proceed with their concerns and their complaints and their comments, which I think should be done at town hall, and probably taken by the town manager. But it would be better if every day of the week there was a council member that stopped by, like at the end of the day at town hall, and the town citizens knew about it, and they could come in and address their complaints, concerns, and comments to a town council member. You could have a little book over town hall that would be like a work order. And when somebody comes in with a concern, you could write out that work order. You could tell them what number that work order is, and tell them that you could get back to them with whether the town decides to take action or whether the town has declined to take action. And that way citizens wouldn't be waiting forever trying to guess through their ESP if the town is going to do anything for them. It's just a simple thing that would help individual people express their concerns without bringing it up at the meetings like I have in the past, which apparently has disrupted a whole lot of things, and I'm sorry, but I had no choice. I couldn't talk to the person I thought I could talk to about my concerns.
Okay. We'll close the public hearing for B. Now we'll move into our regular meeting.
All right, we're not going to have a public comment period no more.
Not tonight.
All right.
Okay, we will review the minutes of the regular meeting for May 13th and the special call meeting for May the 29th. questions? Any corrections? Do I hear a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as read. Correct.
Second? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Is anyone opposed? Okay. Consideration of the bills.
We'd like to, I just wanted to write it down somewhere so I wouldn't forget it. You don't necessarily have to approve it now, you can do that by separate action if you want to.
So it's coming up in new business.
I'd like to bring it up later.
Any more questions about the bills? Do I hear a motion to approve the bills?
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Is anyone opposed? Committee commission reports, Parks and Recreation. Lisa Rogers, your name's on it.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to thank all of the people here who participated and attended the car show and music in the park. We're in the process of setting up another event. We're also in the process of replacing the broken slide at the playground. Sergeant Strickland has some other things that he is going to bring about the park, but I see he's not here tonight, so you'll have to hear those later.
He's taking a juvenile room.
Okay. We're having problems with the equipment down there.
Lisa, do you have something to say?
I do.
For everybody who doesn't know, my name is Lisa Rogers. I'm on the Parks and Rec Committee. I direct the softball program. I'm also a volunteer EMT and I'm on the fire department. I want to thank you for allowing me a few minutes to update you on our softball program. Softball is off to a great start. We've had a lot of coaches and players step up this year, and they're helping us to make it a fun place for everyone to bring their children and their families. We've not had any problems this year, and we plan on keeping it that way. We just want to thank town and council for your continued support. We play on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and we also have a Facebook page under the Glasgow Softball, if anyone wants to check that out for times and team pictures. We hope this program continues to grow for years to come. I'm not able to play anymore, but at least you allow me to take part in this and still have something to do with sport that I've always loved. And I have, if I could, just quickly, the second thing I wanted to speak to you about tonight is our town. We're really lucky to live in a small town in Glasgow here. Because of other commitments, I've not been able to attend town council meetings, but I was told to check it out on YouTube and I could watch the videos. Well, I did this and I was honestly shocked. I can't understand why it was all right to speak to other people in a disrespectful way. When did this become okay? I understand people get upset, we all do, I do, but this is still no reason to treat others badly. I'm so sorry to live in a town where this has happened. Whatever happened to the positive attitude in thinking that you can help one another. We had a car show a couple of weeks ago, and a gentleman there spoke to me. He does other car shows in the area. And he told me that if we wanted to do another one, he would be willing to come forward and help sponsor with the trophies. I presented this at our meeting the other night, and the first questions that I got was, what's in it for him and why is he doing this? That thought never crossed my mind when he offered that. And I'm just astonished that that's the way people think anymore. What's happened to everybody? I mean, do I live in a different world than other people do, where you respect each other? And all I've asked to do is, I thank you, town council, for taking time out of your lives, the mayor, and everyone else that comes here to these town council meetings. And I hope that we treat each other with great respect, which we all deserve, And I think that everybody can bring something to the table. Everyone has something to offer, and if we could all work together, I think we could make this town a much better place to live in. And I support you guys for whatever you do. You do a hard job, and I appreciate that. And if it's anything I can do to ever help, my number's in the book, please give me a call. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question, Lisa?
Yes, ma'am.
How many teams do you have this year?
We have 16.
6? Okay, the Glasgow Volunteer Fire Department, John Hill. Looks like he didn't show. The police activity report, Sergeant Britton had to take someone to Romo juvenile. We're down to old business, which it says we have none. Okay, new business. Adopt amendments to Chapter 6 as presented. Do I hear a motion to adopt amendment Chapter 6 as presented?
I make a motion to adopt Chapter 6 as presented.
Okay, second.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Is anyone opposed? B, to adopt amendment Chapter 2 as presented.
I make a motion to adopt Chapter 2 as presented to the council.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, C, adopt the fiscal year 14-15 budget. The new budget year will start July 1st, 2014, and will end June 30th, 2015. Do you have a motion to adopt the budget?
I'll make a motion to adopt the budget for July, June 2015.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Is anyone opposed? Okay. D, draft a policy in multi-tenant building water meters. This is something, Mr. Rankin, Jeff?
Yes. We had the workshop last Monday, and we developed a policy so we could address landowners that had a structure that fed more than one dwelling in there, say an apartment complex, but they only have one meter. We set these points up from our discussion and have them, I guess, in your packet. And so at this time, I guess what we need to make the step to is this satisfactory to the policy that the town wants to follow during this water project with the meters, to give the owner guidance that they do decide they want multiple meters so they can supply water to each structure or each apartment, or do they just want single meter? And so we give the positives, and we also are very open about possibilities that they can't. In some structures we know they can't. So, so I guess at this time we're just asking, is there anything that needs to be added to this, or anything you want to take away, or change the wording? Or is this Does this look like what you wanna see?
And just to add a little bit to what he's saying, when we did draft this policy, and I think he said today in our other meeting that they're gonna start actually setting some meters work within 2 weeks. I think he said. So some of the parts are almost done on the left side of 130, so they're gonna actually start having a meter crew come in probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks. So there are a few of these structures that's within that scope area, so we kinda need to start moving pretty quick on that.
There's at least 3 that we've identified that
Right.
we need to get a talk to as soon as possible, just to give them 3 weeks notice that
They will be given these.
we would, if we all
If we accept
concur
it
on
tonight.
that.
Right, and again, this policy is only during the construction phase. After the construction phase, this simply goes away, so.
So if we talk to these people, would they at least have 3 weeks? If we talk to these people, will they at least have 3 weeks to make a decision?
Yeah, and
They have
and
longer.
probably more than that,
They
but
have longer.
we'd like to give them as much notice as possible.
Right, the contractor just mentioned today is if they got 15 properties, that they don't wanna wait till the last week of the construction to have to go back and put all those meters in those last 15, because they could actually run them over, and then they start being penalized for running over the contract. So if we can work it as we go, it's great. And again, it does, we tell the property owner, the landlord, that, you know, we can set the line out, and it'll simply be there. Now, they might need more than 90 days before they hook it up, but if they decide it's there.
Okay, okay.
It might be a year for some people, depending on finances, so.
So I guess the question is, do we capture what town council
The
reached a
direction they wanted to
consensus on
go.
last Monday night?
I don't have any questions, however, I think it's good.
Thank you.
I think it would be good that we can say that town council has adopted this, and that this is our directions to follow and working with these. This is basically for all of the oddball situations in town. This is not gonna affect the majority of the citizens. This is where we've got a business downstairs and 4 apartments upstairs, and it's on 1 meter now, and if we wanna change that, this is the opportunity between the owner and the town to get that straightened out so it can be done however they prefer. So that's really what we're talking about in those situations.
Even if it wasn't addressed and they only had a single meter, the landlord, being a landlord, can write into his lease, well, I'm going to add so much water charge to your lease.
That's correct.
You know, after he assesses how much water is being used.
That's correct.
So it's really not something the town really needs to address, but they want to give everybody a chance
We're
to,
giving them the option, if he would rather have.
the separate
He has
meters.
5 apartments and he wants to have 5 meters, so he didn't have to do that and just say, my rent is this, you're responsible for the water sewer. Then he can do that too. It's just trying to be accommodating while we got the opportunity.
And the opportunity is right now is they don't pay any tap fees.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So they won't pay any tap fees at all. And actually, it would make their life simpler in the long haul of years.
But they will be getting, say, like you say, 5 meters, whereas my house only takes 1.
Right.
Okay.
But to be
They're
clear
not
about,
getting the meters, the town owns the meters.
Right.
Okay.
but to be clear about that, if they have 5 apartments and 1 meter, they're gonna be charged for 5 apartments. So they're
There's
not gonna
5
pay
base
less
rates,
than,
5 base rates will
Right.
be billed to that 1 meter.
they're not gonna pay you less than a single homeowner will pay. That's the whole.
That sounds pretty fair.
Yes, and we have to be that way.
So there's no financial incentive just to have 1 meter
No.
if you have a multi-tenant building.
Right.
Is there an option to have potable water and a non-potable meter for lawn care? Or is everything gotta run through the sewer?
Well, we don't have that capability at this point. We don't have that.
I'll make a motion, we draft this.
Okay?
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say yes?
Yes.
Does anyone oppose? Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Oh,
You have something
Yeah,
else?
just one more thing.
Sure.
Today, I just found out today that the inflow pump station will be advertised June 26th for pre-bids in the Roanoke Times for that construction. And on July 17th will be bid openings. That's the tentative dates set by Hurd and Profit. That's going over now. I guess if the audience would have a question or anything about what's going on over there, it'd be a good, I can answer your question.
Our wastewater treatment plant is pretty old, and I understand we have to replace these pumps. In the near future, are we going to try to bring the whole water treatment plant up to the kind of technology that we have nowadays? I see different municipalities using different types of technology. Some plants create their own energy sources. Some plants have hybrid systems and so on. Our aging water treatment plant can only keep costing us in part failure from here on in. Are there plans in the future to upgrade to a better system?
Well, the one thing that you got to be aware of is your permit is up here in next year, 2015. The consequences of that is you may be like Buena Vista where you're facing a $30 million upgrade. So be careful of what you wish for because it could be out of reach.
Well, that's true.
And instead of having 2 people staffed, you might have 7. So I would fight against that, but you can only fight against it so long, and then it's going to be done.
Well,
So
you're the one that takes care of that water treatment plant. It seems like every year we get hit with $10,000 here, $20,000 there, as these pumps fail or a valve fails or so on. That also can add up.
well, again, most wastewater treatment plants are designed to be upgraded every 10 years by capacity. You're not at capacity.
Right.
The second thing about it is that the reason why you have such issues with power usage and all is not your wastewater treatment plant, it's your collection system. If you got rainwater coming in, I have never seen it pay for it. And when rainwater comes in, it inflates your cost because the systems are making up for water that they didn't pay for.
Right.
So on the other consequences of that is yeah, you get very diluted water coming in.
And a lot more wear and tear than is necessary.
And the pumps run a whole lot longer and carry a lot more fluid, and everything has to run on high cycle. The wastewater treatment plant over there is in good shape as far as operation. It does a good job. At some point, I'd like to see something on the digester side, but I've prepared for each of the council members an asset management plan. It has a 30-year plan of replacement. And the year 2028, the town needs $1 million. So you can either go by that plan or you can pull it out of your pocket. So that's the thing. So that's been laid out for the citizens, it's been laid out for council. And so when I retire, you can't say you didn't know.
Right.
Did
We
you say
appreciate
did you
that.
say that was in 28?
I think so. But that's the thing, putting the money back. We're doing it right now, asset management, put money back. And it is a painful state, you might say. But as far as the town versus other small communities, you all are ahead of the game.
That's good.
Because agencies now are requiring you to have money set back that's allocated for years down the road. And small towns all over the state have no money set back. They can't buy a shovel, not less a $30,000 pump or something. So in that case, y'all are really looking on the better side compared to a lot of other small towns. when I went to conference, I was down there with over 800 people of all sizes. And 2 of us was not under consent order to upgrade or repair sewers. It was me and another city that just got done finishing. Virginia Beach is looking at 600 million. New Orleans is looking at 1 billion. It is not cheap. So with that in mind, we are in pretty good shape, and we're being proactive rather than waiting for these pumps to break. We're fixing them before they break.
Thank you very much.
And we're fixing them with variable speed pumps, as opposed to now, it's either on or off. And
Yeah.
these are on at a capacity that goes where he has high water flows. So now with a variable speed pump, they will use less electricity, which means the electric bill will be less.
Yeah.
So they're more efficient.
Yeah, I'm familiar with variable speed
So
motors.
And the thing too on this is that we're not just putting in pumps for replacing panels. We're putting in where it will actually communicate to me that the power's off, which right now I don't know. You're talking due to the heat, you have to have AC in the building. Due to the gases, you have to have a special AC in the building. You have to get those things, the gases out of the building. So this isn't just putting in 3 pumps. This is revamping what you have.
That's good. And
It's just not 3 pumps. And the pumps we have down there right now are $20,000 a piece before you send them across the ocean. So,
right. And a lot of times when you get into new technology, there are internal requirements of the newer motors, whereas they can diagnose various things like excess heat and so on. That if you're talking about new panels, you probably get a readout of that.
The new panel we're putting in will actually start telling us when the pumps are starting to wear. We can tell with the efficiency right there.
Good. Good.
So, any other questions? Okay.
Okay, managers report.
If it's okay, Mayor, I'd like to start with I received an application for a noise ordinance exemption from Barcelona, excuse me, I apologize. At 107 Pocahontas Street. It's for a birthday party for her daughter. And she's gonna have a DJ with some music. And it's proposed that the music will be from 9 p.m. to 2 p.m. And all the neighbors have signed off and said they can live with it. And looking at the town code, you guys, I need to bring it to you and you need to approve it.
You agree with Ms. Lyles, Jim?
Ms. Lyles,
And I'm gonna call her if she gets out.
Close it down to these 2
I'm
guys.
gonna call.
107 Pocahontas.
Roberta here.
So all the neighbors surrounding that said it's okay?
Yeah.
All okay? Because I mean, yeah, we do have to approve that.
Lyle, Hazel Turner, Gloria Young, and Gina
She's
Strummer.
great on one of them block.
I guess my thing with it is that the 2 would probably be a little too late for maybe some places in town, but that's kind of out of the way, and if all those neighbors are okay.
How old is the child?
then-
Have the
40,
Yeah.
it's her 40th birthday.
Oh, 40th. Okay, well, she should be able to party till dawn.
So, due to the fact that the neighbors are all okay with it, and I know exactly kind of where it's located, I don't really have a problem with it. 2 o'clock. If it's somewhere else in town, I'm like, hallelujah, it's 2 o'clock, because it covers a whole lot of neighbors.
Like
What day
On our
is
Slate Street or something.
it? July.
Yes.
July 26th. Nobody over
It's
there.
on
What day?
July 26th.
Nobody else is over there. Yeah, go ahead, approve it, and how long this will be over. They get you out of Roberta Crawford. Yeah, you know where she'll call it. She's gonna be gone, so it's gonna be nobody on that side of town.
Yeah, you've done it by motion in the past.
Yeah, I think we can motion.
Make a motion that we pass it without this silence, nobody else is over there.
Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor, say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Is anyone opposed? Thank you.
As Bill had mentioned, we had our first progress report on our water project this morning. I think that went very well. The contractor's made very good progress. Has he done some things or hit some things we wish he hadn't? Yes. Is it to be expected? Yes. Do we know where every line is in town? No. So it's gonna happen.
We didn't even make a correct count on the manhole covers they had around here.
What we did start, and there was a few things that we discussed today about minor changes. Actually, I think it's been pretty refreshing. The contractor on 2 occasions, just since last Thursday when I started, has suggested 2 changes that actually save the county money, or save the town money in the long run. Just because there's some duplication, once we get out in the field and see how things really are, there's an easier way to skin the cat and accomplish the same thing a little bit differently than was drawn up. What we do have, and will be in the office, is this is a map of the overall improvements that are going to be made. And what we've started doing is highlighting with the yellow highlighter the ones that are already complete. So anytime you want to come by the office, this is laying out on the table and you can see it, and we're going to update it.